Hey guys, Puali here, and I'm back with another long overdue sketchbook tour. What's up? Yeah, that's me. Always late for her own sketchbook tours. I am so sorry. Let's just get into it, okay? So, I bought the sketchbook back in June, and I mainly just bought it for the purpose of practicing and because I was in dire need of extra watercolor paper, because back then, and I'm still doing these, I was starting to make some watercolor postcards for people over on Patreon. And although I don't have the originals anymore because I send them out on a monthly basis, I do have a few pictures of a few of the postcards that I've done. And I'm so happy with these because they've mainly helped me improve not only my watercolor skills, but just with my time management and everything. And I'm just so happy to be able to make these and send them off to people. Also, commissions. I've also been doing commissions with watercolor. So yeah, both of these things take up a lot of supplies, and I just needed a sketchbook for that time. But apart from the postcards, I was also just using the sketchbook for practice purposes. Like, I just wanted to practice drawing my OCs and just trying to improve my overall watercolor technique, which I feel like has greatly improved over the last year or so. So for a few of these, I actually used some references of pictures that I took during the summer. Yeah, most of these are just OCs. Others, I took the time and effort to try and make an actual illustration mainly with only watercolor in it. I also tried going for lineless illustrations, or not lineless, colored lines instead of using ink for the lines. And yeah, so this whole sketchbook is mainly just, experimentation and improving and just seeing what worked with me. So I'm overall really proud of how the sketchbook turned out. Sure, it was repurposed when October came around and I started using my brush pen again, because that's the whole purpose of Inktober. But overall, I would say that I was pretty good with what I was doing in terms of watercolor, and I think that the past months really did help with Inktober, which is what you're gonna be seeing right now. Inktober, yeah, that was a bit of a, not a nightmare. It was just it was an adventure. So when Inktober came around, I decided to use this very same sketchbook for the purpose of, the challenge. And, I've been doing this, Inktober for about 2 years prior, and I was quite excited to give it another go. Except that this year I decided that I wanted to dedicate the month to some of my older OCs, specifically my Ghost OC Tim, along with a few other characters that are from the same comic or story that I've been mentioning in the past few videos that I've done on Inktober. But just to give you a quick recap, the story that these characters are in is called Town. And as I've said in my previous video, it's not a comic that I ever published. I only ever got as far as to making drafts. It's a high school comic, but I hope that eventually I'll be able to actually make a actual comic out of this, because I actually really like the OCs that came out of it. But yeah, going back to this year's Inktober, I decided that I wanted to follow the official Inktober prompt list, and although at one point I fell a bit behind, I did manage to successfully complete the challenge. But I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't hard to keep up, or that I had no problems coming up with ideas for some of these prompts. But I think that's the whole purpose of Inktober, to get you out of your comfort zone and actually get you thinking about different things to draw, and expose you to different ideas and stuff, so that you're not always drawing the same things. But apart from that, October was also a pretty busy month for me. I decided that I wanted to not only keep up with my freelance work, but I also wanted to update my Etsy store with a bunch of autumn themed stuff. I also was doing commissions on the side, and I also had the brilliant idea that I not only wanted to do one Inktober prompt list, but 2 Inktober prompt lists. So yes, you guys will eventually see that I actually I basically finished a My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Inktober prompt list. So I was doing 2 Inktober prompt lists at the same time. They're not in the sketchbook, they're in my regular sketchbook because I did those mainly with ink. But yeah, I basically finished 2 Inktober prompt lists this year, and I'm actually really proud about that. But it wasn't easy, to say the least. Despite all that, though, I would say that it was a pretty fun and eventful month. That's an understatement. Overall, though, I feel like I was able to polish my watercolor and inking skills quite a bit. This also helped me revisit old OCs and explore them a bit more. And after October, I feel like I know Tim a bit better than before. Like, I was able to flesh out his character more and experiment more with his characteristics and just his overall personality. I think that before I just thought that he was like a sort of edgy OC of mine from back in high school, but I had never like actually tried to get inside his head and think about how he would react to certain situations and what his overall behavior would be around other people. And so for Inktober, I had to actually think about that in order to actually portray him in different lights and in different situations. So, although I think that I wasn't able to draw a masterpiece per day because it came a time, and also while doing 2 Inktober lists, there came a time where it was pretty hectic to keep up with both lists and to keep up with the quality that I had set on during that first week of Inktober, which, by the way, I love those first drawings. But again, if I were to try to do that on a daily basis, which I at one point did succeed with last year's Inktober, where I was able to like keep up with the overall quality of it. But if you think about last year was after Hurricane Maria, and I really had no other thing to do during that time. So I was able to dedicate a whole day to each illustration, basically. Whereas this year, I was back to working and back to doing a lot of things on the side, a lot of projects that I had to keep up with. And, I wasn't able to do full-fledged illustrations for each of them. But I think I was able to accept that in the sense that even if it looks simple, it doesn't mean that it's less of a good drawing than the ones that I spent a bit more time on. They're just a bit more simple, but they overall drive the point across. They go along with the prompt that was given for that day, and so that should mean that it's a success. So I think I was able to accept the fact that not all of these drawings were going to be like super intricate masterpieces, but that doesn't mean it's not a good drawing. So yeah, I feel that like as a whole, I like how all of these turned out. Like some of these I feel like you can put side by side and they look as if, they're like a pair or a part of something bigger. So I'll definitely try and keep on participating with Inktober. Even though this year was pretty hectic and I ended up doing a bunch of Inktober prompt lists during the last few days of October, I do not recommend that. I do feel that I'm still gonna keep on participating because overall I think that it's a fun challenge. So if you guys are ever like on the fence of whether you guys want to like participate or not, I think you guys should give it a shot. It's worth the time and effort because at the end of the day, you end up with like a huge collection of illustrations with or without a theme. It still feels really accomplishing, and I don't think that's a word. It still feels really good to actually have finished a challenge like this one. So yeah, I think that's about it. I hope you guys liked this flip through. Let me know which one was your favorite of the illustrations that I showed in the comments. I think probably my favorite one has got to be the first week or so. All of those drawings I just liked really much. And a few of the ones that I did close to the end were also pretty cool as well. But as I said, overall, I think that as a whole, I just like how this collection of illustrations turned out, really. But yeah, I also have a few videos that I've been making and uploading the last few weeks about the OCs that I featured in this Inktober. So if you guys are interested in knowing more about these guys, I think there's at least one more video that I have to upload, but there's 2 other videos already up. So if you guys are interested in knowing more about Tim and Hollow and all the other characters inside of the story of Eve Town, then you guys should go give it a watch. Because I talk a lot about my OCs, and if you guys like to hear other people talk about OCs and rambling about their stories, then I think it's the right video for you to watch. And if not, that's totally fine. That's totally okay. I think that's it. Thanks again for watching. Leave a comment, a like, subscribe if you want. And if not, that's totally okay. Hope you're having a cool day. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.